think can happen today in the North American LCS?
The shots just keep coming.
The Zonias, and here comes Dyrus as well. Robert actually now is on the wrong side of the fight.
They're taking care of business today.
Yes! Blink taking gigantic damage. Will he fall? Oh, he jukes away! And here comes the cavalry. He's gonna lose most of his health. Nice save by Shifter, who flashes the wall. Oh wow! 2 kills for Dignitas. He doesn't make that a third. Big battle.
And it was all crumbs right there.
Welcome to day 2 of our Week 4 North American LCS coverage. We're coming to you live from our studio here in Los Angeles in front of this fired up audience. Happy Father's Day. We are teaming up for another exciting day on The Rift. I am Rivington Bislin III, and beside me are the godfathers of the League of Legends, the daddy of Deep Vision, Joshua Jat Leesman, the grandpappy of Ganks, Sam Colby Hartman Kensler, and the big padre of puns, David Freak Turley. We are 9 games into the split, guys, and looking at arguably the toughest NALCS we have ever seen. It's deep and it's dangerous. Let's talk about the 2 teams that have consistently performed the best so far. On top, the leaders, LMQ and Dignitas. Right now, starting with Dig, 7-2 on the league. They look like they've kind of gotten everything sorted out and are comfortable with each other from game to game. Kobe, what do you think?
Yeah, especially after yesterday, their game against Curse, they turned one mistake of their opponents into several objectives. No problems with their decision-making there at all. The thing I really like about Dignitas is how Crumbs and Zion keep saying how constantly throughout the game, they're reiterating what the game plan is for the entire team. So everybody's on the same page. They're constantly updating each other with information as the game plays out, so they all know the exact same game plan and they're working towards the same goal.
And honestly, it's worked so well for them. I think they had the best roster changes of all the teams here on the LCS, right? Everyone's gelling so quickly, and for some teams it's been a difficulty. For these guys, they immediately fit right into the crew. And the fact that also everyone just knows their role because they're so good individually. Like, there's no one micromanaging team fights to a large extent. It's like everyone knows their role, right? Kiwi Kid knows he's going to like pull guys back and stop the steals and whatnot. And like, just everyone's really firing on all cylinders.
I think one of the big things for Dignitas as well is just outside of the game, Scar being a full-time coach and then also having a full-time analyst for both macro and micro gameplay, I think are having a lot more impacts, especially early on in the season. But the one thing I'm hazarding against is we've seen Dignitas go on winning streaks before, and we've seen them start splits well, and they've pretty much always fallen off as they had historically lacked a lot of motivation in just sticking with it. So they have to worry about having that happen again.
All right, that's Dig on the books. Let's switch gears over to LMQ, the real feel-good story right now. They're winning with class and teamwork and quickly becoming a fan favorite. Jat, we'll stick with you. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, these guys started the season absolutely fantastically. LMQ kind of just plays as a team better than most. Even when they're down in games, they are finding ways to win. That being said, they were down pretty substantially to Evil Geniuses, who were a team that was in last place. LMQ can't really let that happen if they want to be the team that goes to Worlds and does well.
Yeah, not only have they been performing on the Rift very well in the North American LCS, but they also have a really good home life. They're very happy guys. They're a very close team. That not only makes it very easy for fans to gravitate towards this team, but also it provides a great practice home life for these guys, and it's a great environment for them to study League of Legends in.
Yeah, speaking of them adapting and being in their environment, like I just love how they're adapting to living in America, right? They're all learning English, trying, like, I mean, good luck like learning a foreign language and like going and like answering questions of, you know, in an interview about the video games like you're playing. Like, I'm incredibly impressed by their growth as people. And in general, talk about LMQ's in-game performance. They're the only roster that has had no changes in the last 3 months. Everyone's had a sub or someone's been out for a little while, and the fact that they've continued to gel means that they're sort of like the most acute right now. But it does mean that other teams, I think, have more room to catch up. I think that other teams will accelerate and catch them faster than otherwise, but LMQ can, of course, keep growing.
All right, right now we're actually going to turn our focus off of Dig and LMQ and focus on TSM a little bit. They came into week 4 in search of a plan, in search of a leader, in search of something. And they got a huge boost with a large dose of some El Loco Doco. So, Freak, do you think this worked out for him?
I think it absolutely did. And you saw the results yesterday. TSM played really well. Loco Doco's been a great influence in the team. The fact that he comes from the Korean scene where they've done the pro gaming houses, they've done this sort of environment for a much longer time, and he's got that experience is going to help them train properly. And he's got a lot of top-level experience as well to help them get better at the game itself. And on top of that, though, you've got to realize that Cloud9 right now is not the best measuring stick. They're having a really off start to the season. Just saying you beat C9 doesn't necessarily mean as much. So you still have to see TSM beat other top teams to know if they're really up there.
Right.
Yeah. Well, beating C9 right now might not be the greatest litmus test for the new TSM. There are some very immediate changes that Loco has instituted that have had a positive effect on TSM. We could see them play with more confidence yesterday, maybe due to the social media blackout, maybe just due to the team having another person to talk to, an impartial third party. And then also the improvement in vision. Starting out with that Sightstone actually really helped them out, and Amazing was able to add a lot more utility and add a lot more information for the rest of the team.
Yeah, I feel like TSM's back in business, honestly. Even when they lost to LMQ in what was a very ugly game, I feel like those were fairly easy to solve problems for them. And I really do think even just the addition of Loco Doco as someone to take some pressure off of Glebe. Glebe can now focus on his actual gameplay. He'd been missing a lot of bindings, he'd been missing a lot of hooks, but he played really well on Thresh yesterday because he didn't have to worry as much about picks and bans. The in-game strategy had been pre-planned a little bit, so they didn't have to make it all up during the start of the game. And I think mechanically TSM has and always will be one of the best mechanical teams in North America. So with a little bit of coaching, I think they're top of the table.
All right, that's the story on TSM. Moving forward, EG making headlines this week by sidelining their veteran jungler Snoopy to give Korean jungler Helios a tryout. Kind of seems like subs are something that's really affecting the North American LCS this summer. The team suffered a heartbreaking loss to LMQ if you watched the game yesterday, but they looked strong early. How would you grade Helios, Jeff?
I'd probably start him at about an A- for that first game, because he had a very impressive early game moment for EG to pull them ahead against LMQ, but then they still couldn't close. And even if they're saying, let's find fights, even if they're trying to bait around Baron, they didn't do any of those things successfully. Obviously, it's a short moment of time, so that's why he still gets an A, even if it's an A-. I just think he did very well in his first opening, but there's still room for improvement.
All right, Freak.
For me, I'm going to be a little bit less nice. So obviously, there's a lot of reasons why it's going to be hard, right? Joining a new team, actually his English is great, so he's actually leading the charge there as a shot caller, but his individual plays are good. He's obviously a very strong player, and the voice he brings to the team does help. But the fact that he couldn't close out the game, either by lack of knowledge himself or by lack of ability to lead his team, whether it's 1 week or because it's going to change later on, though right now it's less than that. I would give him a mid-B, something like that. That could change, but right now it's not all the problems solved.
I think he had a spectacular opening. Not only did he apply a lot of early game pressure, but this shot calling issue, he's making a lot of good shot calls. We're just grading him right now. We're not grading the whole team. This is a lot on the other guys working with Helios and listening to him and trusting his calls. He was making some calls that you'd see pings go down, and the whole team didn't necessarily react to those calls. So really, I think it's on the whole team to actually build that trust with him. He's only been here a few days, I think this guy had an amazing showing considering he just got over here.
All right, gentlemen, thanks for the final thoughts on Helios. We're going to now take a look at some of the plays you were all calling out on Twitter with the hashtag LCS Big Plays.
Our first comes from Dignitas versus Curse. At Jealous7 writes, the double culling really setting up a perfect Baron. Huge play by Cutie Pie. Here's your number 3.
Boy got himself in a really bad spot. It does cost him an inhibitor.
Oh, the goal! He gets in! It's specials! Oh, he got himself killed as well!
I figure with Braum coming from the Freljord, he wouldn't get cold so easily.
Ooh, that was kind of good.
That was all right. I'd say it was a pretty Brahms play.
One a B+.
My next one comes from COT versus Complexity at Fire Element 6 says, Bubba Dub with the revenge kill showing the power of mustache affinity. Here's your number 2.
Great shield coming in, but he puts himself in the brush. He is going to be going down. Doublelift may be able to get the kill on Bobadub too. He's going to be taking shots. Does he have the slow? There's one. He's going to get locked up. They blow the flash. It cannot get Dexter there in time. He will be there. They hook him in. A great kill for Bobadub. The poison won't be enough. What a play from him.
Gotta fear the stash.
I concur.
Our next highlight comes from TSM versus Cloud9. At Andre JB tweets, Locodoco's already seen how to train your dragon too. Glebe with the flay onto balls. Here it is, your number 1.
A wild turtle on the backside.
No
just
wave clear from Cloud9. They might just have to fight right now.
That's a one. Oh, cleaved onto the dragon. The set. Some players will always be affected by the flay going onto the Shyvana, namely St. Vicious. We got to remember these special St. Vicious flays, and it still keeps coming. Glebe puts them up this time, so keep your eyes peeled for more of those high-octane moments. Share them with us at LOL Esports. Use the hashtag LCS Big Plays. Can't forget that. Taking a look at the standings. And first, as we mentioned before, it's LMQ and Dignitas.
In third place, it is CLG, and sharing fourth, just one game back, are actually Cloud9 and TSM. Then in last place, it is a 3-way tie between Complexity, Evil Geniuses, and Team Curse.
But we've got 4 big games for teams to shake up the table today, starting off with Team Curse versus LMQ, followed by Complexity taking on TSM.
Then CLG will square off with Evil Geniuses, and in our final LCS game, it's Cloud9 battling it out with Dignitas.
But stay tuned for our North American Challenger Series for a best-of-3 semifinal when Team Coast and Curse Academy take to the Rift.
Then warm up those Twitter fingers, because today we're asking, what's the most surprising development in the North American LCS and why?
Yeah, just send your thoughts over to LOL Esports and use the hashtag LCS. Bring your A game, because you might hear your answer read later in the broadcast.
And just after a quick break, we'll get into our first match of the day, Curse versus LMQ. But first, a programming note. The NALCS will take place this upcoming week on Thursday and Friday to make room for the EU LCS Roadshow in London, England.
Yeah, so make sure you tune in on Thursday for the LCS preview show. It's at a different time than normal, so 11:30 a.m. Pacific time or 8:30 p.m. Central European Summertime. But on our way to break, check out one of our favorite preview show segments, The Last Hit.
These teams ready to get into our second day here in the third week.
It's a very interesting choice. We'll have to see how his spear accuracy does this game.
Hai is going crazy with these spears right now. Double if not safe. Oh my gosh.
And Hai is just playing fantastic on Italy. Holy crap. How many are they going to land? Hai is an assassin right now. And he keeps landing the spears.
That was a spear. That was a shot. This could be game. You can hear the crowd absolutely loving these spears coming in.
Oh my God, Rip, I have to see that again.